Chapter 58 of Jin Ping Mei Chongzhen version of the embroidered portrait. Pan Jinlian beats the dog and hurts the person. Meng Yulu and Zhou Qiang grind the mirror. The word says, the sorrow is released, but it still seems like weaving. The tears are wiped secretly, but they are secretly shed. The girl is angry and forced to be happy, but she is just hating Qiandu. Now that you have fought hard, you will forget how you were born. Still leaning on the railing, he tried to listen to the news again. It is said that Simon King was drinking with his relatives and friends that day, got very drunk, and walked into Sun Zue's room at the back. Zue was looking at the stove to put away the fire when she heard Simon King go to the room. So she panicked and took 2 steps at a time. First, Sister Yu sat on his king and encouraged him to sleep with Yu Xiao and Xiao Yu in Yunyang's room. It turns out that Sun Zue also lived in 3 rooms, 1 light and 2 dark, 1 bedroom and 1 king room. Simon King also didn't come into his room for more than a year. When he heard that he had come in today, he quickly moved forward to pick up Simon King's clothes and settled the person sitting on the chair in the middle, while wiping the mat, making the bed, incense and bathing the women. They came over and handed Simon King some tea, helped her to bed, took off her boots and belts, and had a rest. A night without words. The next day, the 28th, was Simon Xinjiang's birthday. Just after burning the paper, I saw Huzhu, a young man from Han Daoguo, arriving at the door and lowering his head to speak. When Simon King was informed, he asked Huzhu to come to the hall and kowtow before him, asked him where the cargo ship was. Huzhu handed over the book account and said, Uncle Han bought 10,000 taels of silver satin and silk goods in Hangzhou. It has arrived at Linqing Chao Pass today, lacking tax notes and silver taels, and has not been loaded into the city. Simon King, after looking at the bookshelf, I was overjoyed. I asked the chessboy to watch the meal with Huzhu, and told him to go to Qiao's father's house to see him. Then he came in and said to Wu Yunyang, the cargo ship from Han Dynasty has arrived in Linqing, and the young man Huzhu has brought books and books. Now I have to clean the house across the street, and unload it there, find the guys to clean it up, and open a shop to sell. Yunyang listened, and said, it's too late for you to search hard. Simon King said, now when the second brother Ying comes, I will tell him. After a while, Earl Ying came. Simon King sat with him in the hall and said to him, Han man, the cargo ship has arrived in Hangzhou, and we lack a salesman. The Earl said, brother, congratulations. Today is my birthday. The cargo ship has arrived. It will be 10 times more. I'm even more happy about the profit. If I'm looking for a salesperson, it doesn't matter. I have an acquaintance who was a friend of my father's. He used to be a salesman in a satin shop. He has been unlucky for many years and has been idle at home. He is only over 40 this year. It goes without saying that he has a good eye for silver water and is good at doing business. His surname is Gen and his given name is Ren. He lives in Shikyar Lane and has his own room. Simon King said, if okay, you ask him to see me tomorrow. Just as he was talking, Li Ming, Wu Hui, and Zheng Feng came to kowtow first. After a while, the jugglers arrived. Eat in a side room. The promised festival leader took the ticket and said in reply, the only one who wanted to sing was Zheng Aiyur. His madam said that she was waiting after cleaning up, but Wang Huang's family stopped her and went to sing in the house. The younger ones only called Qi Xiang'er, Dong Zhaoer, and Hong Sire. When Simon King heard that he didn't come, he said, nonsense. Then he called Zheng Feng and asked, why can't your sister come here if I ask her to? Is it because she was stopped by Wang Huang's family? Zheng Feng knelt down and said, I don't know if I live in another place. Simon King said, he said he was going to Wang Huang. Is it just for the in-laws to sing? You dare to think that I can't get it? He called Diana to come forward and said, if you bring to more platoon troops, I will give you a waiter's post to see your father Wanger at the residence of the royal family. I'm going to invite some guests to have a drink here. And Zheng Aiyur agreed to let him come for 2 or 3 days. If he refuses, even the bastard will be locked up with me, and he will stay in the concierge. How abominable! On the other hand, he called Zheng Feng. You should follow me. Then Zheng Feng didn't dare not to go. He walked out and said to Diana, brother N, please go and I'll be waiting outside. Wanger's father is calling at his house. I'm afraid he hasn't gone yet. If brother Lian hasn't left yet, I'll tell him to come. Diane said, if you go to Wang's house, wait for me. Take the post to ask for it. If you are hiding it at home, go in and tell your mother to clean it up quickly. And I will defend him with a few words. And that's it. If you don't know his character, he will. We decided to leave it at Father Xia's house. He must be upset if you don't come. Zheng Feng went home first, and Diane, to platoon troops, and a section commander also came over. Simon King sent Diane away because he said to the Earl, this little whore is so abominable. If he sings in other people's homes, I won't ask him to come here. The Earl said, young traitor, what does he know? He doesn't know what you're doing. Simon King said, I saw that he was very smart at the banquet, so I asked him to come and test him for 2 days. How disgusting is that? The Count said, brother, I chose these for today. The fans are all outstanding. Li Ming said, second father, you haven't met Ayur yet. The Earl said, I was drinking with your father at his house. He is still young. I've never seen him before, and I don't know what he's like. Li Ming said, although this little pink guy has a good figure, he only wears makeup and can sing. How can he be half as good as Sister Gui? Where is this? Don't you dare to come. Even if you come, you still don't know the importance of it. Just as he was talking, he saw Huzu saying back, I'm here to see Dad. Exit. Simon King taught Chen Jingji, I'm asking for 50 taels of silver from the back. I'll ask the boy to write a letter and print it. I'll send a grader. I'll get up early tomorrow and go down together. I'll close the money with you. Father Jin, when he paid the tax, he had clear eyes. After a while, Chen Jingji took a letter of silver and handed it to Huzu. Huzu received the document and tax receipt, and they got up early the next day without saying a word. Suddenly he heard the sound of shouting, and came to report safely, Eunuch Liu and Eunuch Zhu are here. Simon King hurriedly welcomed him to the hall with his hat and hat. After seeing the etiquette, please go to the rolling shed, cover it with a python robe, and put 2 people on it. Sit down on a chair. Earl Ying is here, sitting with Simon Qingwan at the banquet. Zhu Nixiang then asked, who is this? Simon King said, last year the old eunuch came over, and it was his old friend Ying'erj. Earl Ying leaned forward and said, my dear husband, I still remember. After a while, he brought some tea to the table. I saw Ping'an coming over and said, Master Zhou sent someone to tell me with a post that there is still a table today. If you are late, please tell me to sit here first. You don't have to wait. Simon King read the post and said, then he said, I know. Zhu Nixiangjian asked, Sir Simon, who is late today? Simon King said, there is still a seat over there for Zhou Nangshuan. Don't wait for him. I'm afraid he will come later. Zhu Nixiang said, now that I'm here, let's just wait for him. While he was talking, Wang Jing came in with 2 posts. The scholars are here. When Simon King saw the posts, one was Ni Peng and the other was Wen Bigu, so he knew that Ni Shukai had recommended his classmates and friends. Hurriedly came out to greet him. They all came in wearing clothes and scarves. Not looking at Ni Shukai, they only saw Wen Bigu, who was not more than 40 years old, dignified and simple, with a beard, modest appearance, and gentle manner. I don't know what the hidden state is, so I first observe the movement and stillness. There are a few words of praise for him. Although he possesses unruly talents, he is accustomed to traveling to unruly places. As fame and fame fade away, a hero's ambition has faded. His family fortune has withered, and his inspiring spirit has been lost. He sent back his articles and Taoism to Confucius. He left his career to serve the emperor and his people, and his thoughts of honoring his body and showing his relatives in the East Ocean. He is harmonious and mixed with vulgarity, but his profit and desire are in front. He follows the square and the round, and does not take integrity as the most important thing. He holds his crown and his belt, but there is no one around him. He talks broadly and talks high, but there is nothing in his mind. I have been called for 3 years, but the test is still difficult. How can I see the laurel climbing high, sitting in a wide position with a cup in my hand? I have no boredom in escaping from the world, and I am a hidden figure in a cave. Simon King Yi went to the hall to recite the ceremony, and everyone handed over a letter and handkerchief to celebrate Simon's birthday. After paying homage, the guests and hosts sat down separately. Simon King said, I have admired Mr. Wen for a long time and he is a great talent. Do you dare to ask for his name? When Xiukai said, the student's nickname is Rickson, and his nickname is Quickshuan, Simon King said, Mr. Quickshuan. He asked again, Geexiang, what scripture? When Xiukai said, I am not a talented student. I have been studying the Book of Changes for a long time, but I didn't dare to pay homage to him because of my classmate Ni Guiyan and Mr. Shang Di. Come and pay homage to me. Simon King said, Mr. Chang is the first to pay homage to me. I am a military officer who is vulgar and ignorant of arts and science, so I have no one to write my correspondence. Mr. Guiyan highly praised the old man for his great talent and virtue. I was about to ask him for advice. Unexpectedly, the old man declined. I am very grateful. When Xiukai said, the student is too talented and has too much praise. After tea, Simon King stepped into the rolling shed, where two old eunuchs, Zhu and Liu, were present. Zhu Nixiang said, two old gentlemen, please undress and come in. Simon King asked him to undress and come in. They all gave way again and again. And then one on each side sat down with their heads bowed. While the conversation was going on, Uncle Wu and Fan Qian who arrived and sat down to sit down. After a while, Dian and his colleagues and Zheng Feng all called back. All four singers have been called. Simon King asked, but where is Wang Wang's wife? Dan said, it's Wang Wang's wife who called from inside the house. He hasn't gotten up yet. The young man wanted to take the lock from his bustard, but he panicked and got into the sedan chair. Simon King immediately came out and stood on the base of the hall. Four singers came in together and kowtowed to Simon King. Zheng Ayuer was wearing a purple gauze shirt and a white gauze skirt. The waist is as graceful as a willow, and the flowers are graceful as a hibiscus. Exactly, there is no place to buy all kinds of romantic affairs, and it is difficult to spend a good night with a lot of money. Simon King then said to Zheng Ayuer, why don't you come when I call you? How abominable! Do you think I can't bring you here? Zheng Ayuer kowtowed, without saying a word, and kept walking with everyone with a smile. Went to the back. When he got to the back, he kowtowed to Yunyang and everyone else. Seeing that Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er were in front of them, they each wished them blessings and said, you came early. Sister Li Gui said, I have no home every 2 days. Because she said, why are you for like this? Come. Dong Zhaoer said, it's because of Sister Yu that we are late. Just wait for him and don't get up. Zheng Ayuer covered her face with a fan and just smiled without saying anything. Yu Nang asked, whose family does this eldest sister belong to? Dong Zhaoer said, Mom, I don't know, but she is Zheng Aixiang'er's sister, Zheng Ayuer. She's only grown up, not even half a year old. Yu Nang said, but you'll be in good shape. After saying that, he watched the tea and ate it, and set the table for tea for everyone to eat. Pan Jinlian then lifted up his skirt, pinched his feet to look at them, and said, the way you look on the inside is just straight and pointy, not like the way I look on the outside. The heel inside is too big. Yunyang said to Da Jinsi, he is so competitive. Ask him what's wrong with him. Then she took off the goldfish stick on his head and asked, why are you like this? Is it made by the silversmith here? Zheng Ayuer said. After a moment, the tea was put down, and Yunyang called out, Sister Gui, Sister Yin, please accompany the 4 of them to have tea. After a while, the 6 of them sang. We had tea together. Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er said to Dong Zhaoer and the other 4, you come here for a walk in the garden every time. Dong Zhaoer said, come back when I go for a walk in the back. Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er followed Pan Jinlian and Meng Yulu, go out of the ceremony gate and go into the garden. Because there were people in the big roll shed, they never went there. I only looked back at the flowers and plants here, and then went to Li Ping'er's room to see Brother Guan. Guaner felt a little uncomfortable again, crying in her sleep and unable to eat milk. Li Ping'er stayed in the house and couldn't come out. Seeing Sister Li Gui, Wu Yin'er, Meng Wanglu, and Pan Jinlian coming in, they quickly gave up their seats. Sister Gui asked, Brother, are you sleeping? Li Ping'er said. He cried all day before he fell asleep. Yulu said, and he said, please ask Mrs. Liu to come and see him. Why don't you use it? Invite me. Young man, Li Ping'er said, it's a good day for my father. Let's invite him over tomorrow. While they were talking, they saw 4 singers and Sister Ximen and Xiao Yu walking towards them. The eldest sister said, "So you are always here, but you taught me to look for you in the garden." Yulu said, "There is someone in the garden. We can't go there. We just took a look and came." Sister Li Gui asked Hong Sire, "What are you doing in the back?" Hong Sire said, "I'm having tea in Xi's room in the back." After hearing this, Pan Jinlian looked at Yulu and Li Ping'er and asked Hong Sire, "Who told you it was Si Niang?" Dong Zhaoer said, "Every time he stayed in the room to have tea, he always asked, 'I haven't kowtowed to you, old man, so I wonder who my mother is.' He said, 'I am your fourth mother.'" Jin Lian said, "You shameless little slave girl. It's okay for others to call you, but whoever calls you fourth mother will be the one who favors you." "You, who calls you the fourth mother?" The man slept in the house all night and got some color, so he opened the dining room. "There is Aunt Young in your room. Sister Li and Sister Yin are here. And Grandma Pan is in my room. And it's not her turn to go to your room." Yulu said, "You haven't seen her yet today." When he got up in the morning, he sent his father to the front, calling for Li in the yard. And then he started to show off. As the saying goes, slaves should not be allowed to do anything, and children should not be coaxed. He asked Xiao Yu again, "I heard your father telling your grandma that he wanted to find a girl for him. He said that your father was in his room yesterday and saw that he couldn't do anything about it because he asked her." The little whore took advantage of the situation and said to your father, "I can't do it all the time. I have no time to clean up the house, so I have to come here to sleep at night." Your father said, "It doesn't matter. I will tell your mother tomorrow that I will find a girl to work with you." "Is this really true?" "I don't know," Xiao Yu said. "How dare you Xiao hear it?" Jinlian said to Sister Gui, "Your father is not in my room. Why don't you go behind him? I'll talk to him behind my back. He is talkative and often hurts prisoners, so I am anxious not to talk to him." Just as he was talking, Shu Chun brought tea. While eating, I suddenly heard the sound of drum music in front. Everyone in the Jingdu prison had arrived. They handed the wine to everyone. Daener came to call the 4 singers and went to the front. That day, Mr. Kiao did not come. First there were acrobatics, music and singing. After the dance, they performed a comedy, cut the meat and served the first dish of soup and rice. Then Dr. Ren arrived, wearing a crown. Simon King welcomed him to the hall and exchanged greetings. Dr. Ren ordered his attendants to take out a birthday scarf and to white golds from his felt bag and greet Simon King. He said, "Yesterday, Han Mingchuan told me that it was your birthday. Please forgive me for being late." Simon King said, "How dare I trouble you to drive me, and thank you for the grand ceremony. Thank you for your wonderful medicine." After they greeted each other, Dr. Ren wanted to offer wine, but Simon King declined, saying, "No need." He took off his coat, greeted everyone, and then sat at the 4th seat on the left, close to Uncle Wu. He served soup and rice, and a box of rice. Dr. Ren thanked him and asked his servants to take them away. For singers played musical instruments and sang a set of birthday songs. Simon King ordered the people at the table to serve wine. The musicians below presented the invitation, and the 2 eunuchs Liu and Zhu chose the play Shengxi and Hui by Han Xiangzi and Chen Banji. They had just sung 1 act when they heard the sound of shouting approaching. Ping An came in and reported, "Master Zhou from the garrison mansion is here." Simon King hurriedly greeted him. Before they met, he asked him to wear formal clothes. Garrison Zhou said, "I came to drink with Siquin." Eunuch Zhu said, "Master Zhou, there is no need to drink. Just show your courtesy." So the 2 of them exchanged greetings, bowed to everyone, and the 3rd seat on the left was set down. Next, the soup and rice were cut up, and the horsemen brought to plates of snacks, to plates of cooked meat, and to bottles of wine. Garrison Zhou thanked him, ordered his attendants to take them away, and then sat down. On the one hand, they drank wine, sang and danced, played music, and drank wine with flowers and brocade. It was exactly, the moon danced low over the willow tower, and the wind blew under the peach blossom fan after the song. They ate until dusk, and the Dr. Ren left early through the door. Simon King escorted her out, and Dr. Ren asked, "Madam, are you feeling better?" Simon King said, "I took some good medicine and I feel better now. I don't know why I feel a little uncomfortable these 2 days. I hope you can come and see me tomorrow." After saying that, Dr. Ren said goodbye and got on his horse and left. After him, Ni Shukai, and when Shukai got up, Simon King could not stop her, so he escorted her out the door and said, I will come to ask for your advice someday. My family has built a school opposite, and you can live with me. Even your family can move in, so it's convenient. I will give you a monthly salary to prepare for the needs of beans and water. When Shukai said, thank you for your kindness, Ni Shukai said, this is the old gentleman's elegant intention to respect culture. He sent the 2 scholars away. Simon King accompanied the guests to drink and eat until late at night. The 4 singers returned to Yu Niang's room and sang for Yu Niang, Da Jinzi, and Miss Yang. Simon King still kept Uncle Wu and Earl Ying in front and sat down to drink again. He watched the musicians eat and drink, and then left. The other fires were put out, and he ordered fruit plates to be brought up from the back, and asked Li Ming, Wu Hue, and Zheng Feng to come up to play and sing, and to bring large cups of wine for them to drink. Earl Ying said, brother, you all like the banquet for your birthday today. Li Ming said, Mr. Zhu and Mr. Liu also spend a lot of money on gifts. Later, I saw Sister Gui and Sister Yin come out again, and each of them handed him another bag. But Mr. Zhu is younger than Mr. Liu, so he should play faster. After a while, the painted boy brought the fruit plate. Earl Ying saw the butterworm wrap snails and picked one and put it in his mouth. It was like nectar sprinkled on the heart, and it melted in his mouth. He said, it's delicious. Simon King said, my son, you know how to eat. This was picked by your 6th mother. The Earl smiled and said, it's also my daughter's filial piety. He said, Uncle, you should also treat one. So he picked one and put it in Uncle Wu's mouth. He also called Li Ming, Wu Hue, and Zheng Feng to come forward, and each of them picked one to reward him. While drinking, the Earl said to Diane, go to the back and call those 4 little whores out. I'll let it go, and ask them to sing for my uncle. It'll be fine if they leave after a while. Today, they only sang to sets of wine. Don't let them get away with it. Diane didn't move, and said, I've called them. They're singing for my aunt and mother in the back. They'll come soon. The Earl said, you little slick-mouthed thief. When are you going? You're still teasing me. He called Wang Jing. You go. Wang Jing didn't move again. The Earl said, I can't get you to go, so wait for me to go. As he was talking, he heard a fragrant breeze and laughter, and the 4 whores came out with their heads covered with sweat towels. The Earl saw it and said, my son, who made you so good? You are so free and easy to go. How can you expect to go without singing a song for me? It's so easy, including the sedan chair fare. It's 4 coins of silver. You can buy 1 stone and 7 or 8 buckets of red sow rice, enough to feed your brothel owner and your family for a month. Dong Zhaoer said, brother, you can get such cheap food and clothing, but you have to become a citizen. Hong Sire said, it's late now, round 7 or 8 o'clock. Let me go. I'll just go there. Qi Xiang'er said, I have to get up early tomorrow to go to the funeral. The Earl asked, whose family? Qi Xiang'er said, the one with the door under the eaves. The Earl said, isn't it Wang Sangwen's family again? He got you into trouble the other day, but thanks to your father's favor, he spoke for Li Geyer and even spared you. This time, the bird is no longer in that nest. Qi Xiang'er laughed and scolded, you old slick-tongued person. You are so stupid. What nonsense. The Earl said, are you laughing at my old age? I am half pretty. I am not good enough to manipulate these 4 little whores of yours. Hong Sire said with a smile, brother, I think your outfit is not very good. You are just good at flirting. The Earl said, I'll come over and see how you can pay me back. He said again. The thief whore of the Zheng family ate the 5 old men's seats and didn't say a word. She looked a little absent-minded. How dare she think about the lonely old man at home? Dong Zhaoer said, she just heard you say that she is a little afraid of bed here. The Earl said, are you afraid of bed or not? Bring the musical instruments and sing a set each. You can go, and I won't keep you. Simon King said, well, you to pass the wine and sing a set for him to listen to. Qi Xiang'er said, wait for me and Yuji to sing. At that moment, Zheng Yue played the pipa and Qi Xiang'er played the zither. They sat on the crossbed and sang beautifully and charmingly, singing a set of Yu opera, Fighting Quail Night Goes and Dawn Comes. Dong Jiar handed Uncle Wu a glass of wine, and Hong Seer handed Earl Ying a glass of wine. They exchanged cups at the banquet, leaning against the green and leaning against the red. It was just like this, dancing back to the bright moon falling on the Qin Tower, singing to stop the moving clouds, and fascinated the Chu Pavilion. At that moment, several rounds of wine were served, 2 sets of songs were sung, and the 4 singers were sent away. Simon King asked Uncle Wu to sit down, and asked Chen Hong to come up and sing a set of southern songs, and then he told the chess boy to prepare horses and take lanterns, to send Uncle Wu. Uncle Wu said, "Brother, there is no need to prepare horses. I will go all the way with second brother Ying." Simon King said, "In this case, let the chess boy carry a lantern to send him home." Uncle Wu and Earl stood up and said goodbye. Simon King sent him to the front door, and said to Earl, "You should pay attention tomorrow and make an appointment with Gan to come to see me to approve the contract. I will meet with my relative Kiao to clean up the house and unload the goods." Earl said, "Brother, you don't need to tell me. I know." While saying goodbye, he walked with Uncle Wu, and the chess boy carried a lantern. Uncle Wu asked, "What house did my brother-in-law say to clean up just now?" The Earl said, "Han's cargo ship has arrived. He has opened a new satin shop, and is cleaning up the house opposite. He asked me to find a clerk for him." Uncle Wu said, "When will it open? All our relatives and friends must come to congratulate us." After a while, they went out to the main street and arrived at the entrance of the Earl's alley. Uncle Wu asked the chess boy, "Hold a lantern and send your second father home." The Earl refused and said, "Chess boy, you send your uncle. I don't need a lantern. Just go into the alley." While saying goodbye, they went home separately. The chess boy sent his uncle away, Simon King, Sun Li Ming and others, to sing for money, and went back to Yunaying's room to rest for a night. The next day, the Earl brought Gan Shisheng, dressed in green, to pay a visit and talk about business. Simon King asked Chui Ben to meet the rich man Kiao to clean up the house and start the rebellion. Mr. Kiao said to Chui Ben, "In the future, all matters, big or small, will be handled by your father-in-law. Don't worry about it." He immediately signed a contract with Gan. He appointed the Earl as a guarantor, and the profit was divided into 10 parts, Simon King 5 parts, Mr. Kiao 3 parts, and the remaining 3 parts were equally divided by Han Daoguo, Gan Ben and Chui Ben. On the one hand, he built a storehouse and installed the painted signboard, waiting for the truck to arrive and unload the goods to open the business. Later, he set up a school by himself and invited Wen Shukai to be a guest of the West, specializing in editing letters and answering the scholars. 3 or 2 pieces of money were paid every month, and gifts were not lacking in all seasons. He also assigned painting boys and servants to serve him. When Simon King had a banquet at home, he often invited him to accompany and drink. There is no need to go into details. Before I knew it, Simon King's birthday had passed. The next morning, he invited Dr. Ren to see Li Pinger, and he watched the house opposite to clean up. Miss Young went home first, while Li Guiji and Wu Yin'er had not yet gone home. Wu Yunyang bought crabs worth 3 taels of silver and cooked them at noon. She invited to Jinzi, Li Guiji, and Wu Yin'er to eat together. Liu Posi, whom Yunyang invited, came to see Guanjir. After having tea, Li Pinger accompanied him to the front room. Liu Posi said, "Brother is frightened and needs to stop drinking." She also left a few doses of medicine. Yunyang gave him 3 taels of silver and sent him away. Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, Li Guiji, Wu Yin'er, and the eldest sister were all under the flower stand, putting a small table and laying felt strips, playing dominoes, and drinking together. Sun Zui won 7 or 8 cups of wine from everyone, and she didn't dare to sit for long, so she left. Everyone asked Li Pinger to fill in the vacancy. Jinlian also taught Wu Yin'er and Guiji to sing a set of songs. That day, the sisters drank until late, and Yunyang packed the box and sent Li Guiji and Wu Yin'er home. Pan Jinlian returned to her room drunk. She saw Simon King staying in Li Pinger's room overnight, and asked Dr. Ren to come and see him in the morning. She was upset. She knew that his child was not well. She didn't expect that she would take advantage of the situation. She saw dog shit on her feet in the dark. She went to the room and asked Chun Mai to light a lamp to see. The uppers of her red satin shoes were all stained. Her eyebrows were raised and her eyes were wide open. She asked Chun Mai to light the lamp and close the corner door. She took a big stick and beat the dog without any height. The dog screamed. Li Ping'er asked Yingxun to come over and said, "My mother said that my brother just took Lao Liu's medicine and fell asleep. Tell Wu Nang not to beat the dog." Pan Jinlian sat there and didn't say anything for a long time. After beating the dog, she opened the door and let it out. Then she started to find fault with Kyuju. Looking at the shoes, he was annoyed. He called Kyuju to his side and said, "It's late now. The dog should be sent away. Why is it still kept in this room? Is it your servant's wild man? You didn't send him out, so he let him shit all over the floor. And my new pair of shoes, which are only 3 or 4 days old, are covered with shit. If you knew I was coming, you should have lit a lamp and come out. Why are you pretending to be deaf and dumb and acting like a fool?" Chun Mai said, "I told him earlier that you should feed him some food and lock him up in the backyard while your mother is not here." He pretended to ignore me and stared at me. The woman said, "Why are you here again? You daring servant. I know you are the boss in this room, so I won't beat you." She called him over and said, "Look, there is dirt on my shoes." She made him look down, picked up his shoes, and hit him in the face with the soles of the shoes. Kyuju's lips were broken by the beating, and she just wiped the blood and walked away. The woman cursed, "You wicked slave. You're gone." She told Chun Mai, "Come over here, kneel down, take the horsewhip, and tear off her clothes for me. Give her 30 horsewhips, but if she twists, it won't count if I beat her randomly." Chun Mai then tore off her clothes, and the woman told Chun Mai to hold her hands and whipped her like raindrops, making the girl scream like a pig being slaughtered. Guanj had just closed his eyes, but woke up again. She sent Chu Chun to say, "My mother told Wu Nang to spare Kyuju, but she was afraid that she would wake up her brother." Grandma Pan was sleeping on the kang in the inner room. When she heard Kyuju screaming, she jumped up and tried to persuade her. Seeing that Jinlian refused to obey, she saw Li Ping'er calling Shu Chun to speak. And then she stepped forward to grab the whip from her daughter's hand and said, "Sister, please hit him less. If he provokes his sister, I'm afraid he will scare his brother. It's okay to twist the stick for the donkey, but it won't hurt the redbud tree." Jinlian was already annoyed, and when she heard her mother say this, she became even more angry. In a moment, she was embarrassed and pushed her hand away, almost pushing Grandma Pan away. Then she said, "Strange old thing, come sit over here with me. It's none of your business. Why are you here to persuade me? What's the matter with the redbud tree?" The donkey twisting the stick. "Just the outside and the inside." Grandma Pan said, "How can I cooperate with the outside and the inside when the thief is seeking death? I came to your house to ask for cold food, and you want to throw me like this?" Jinlian said, "You should take that old Maobai away with you tomorrow, or he will cook me in a long pot." When Grandma Pan heard her daughter scolding him like this, she went to the inner room and sobbed, and followed the woman to beat Kyuju. After beating him with 20 or 30 horsewhips, and then building 10 railings, they let him out only after his skin was torn and flesh was exposed. They also pinched his face and cheeks with their sharp nails until they were mashed. Li Ping'er was over there, just holding the child's ears with both hands, tears streaming down her cheeks, and she dared to speak out in anger. Ximen King had a day of drinking with the Earl, Chue Ben, and Gan, the clerk, in the house opposite, and went to rest in the Yulu room. The next day, Zhou Xiaobai invited him to a birthday party, but he was not at home. Li Ping'er saw that Guanjir had taken Liu Pozi's medicine and did not move. He was frightened at night, and his eyes were just looking up. Because Zhu Gu and Wang Gu went home that day, they came back and said to Yunayang, "I took out the pair of silver lions that he used to press his quilt from the room, and I want to ask Zhu Gu to print the Buddha's Head Heart Dara Sutra and give it to you temple." On August 15th, Zhu Gu was about to take it away, but Meng Yulu said, "Master, please wait. Madam, you should ask the servant to call Ben Si to exchange the silver for him, and then go to the sutra shop to agree on the amount of silver for each sutra and when to get it. You ask Master Zhu to go, but how can he get it alone?" Yu Nang said, "You are right." At the same time, he asked Lianer to call Ben Si, Bo to Yu Nang and the others, and exchange the pair of silver lions on the scale, which weighed 41 taels and 5 cents. Yu Niang ordered and went with Master Zhu to the sutra shop to print some sutras. Pan Jinlian immediately called Meng Yulu. Let's see the two masters off and go to see the eldest sister. She is making shoes in the room. The two walked forward hand in hand. Benzi went with Su and Wang. Jinlian and Yulu walked out of the east wing of the hall and saw the eldest sister making shoes under the eaves. Jinlian picked it up and saw that it was a pair of sandal green loose silk shoes. Yulu said, "Eldest sister, you don't want this red lock thread, please use the blue thread. It's better to make more. Do you want a pair with bright red heels tomorrow?" The eldest sister said, "I have a pair with bright red heels. I want blue heels in my heart. So I use bright red thread to lock the mouth." Jinlian looked around and saw that the three of them were sitting on the platform in the hall. Yulu asked the eldest sister, "Is your son-in-law in the room?" The eldest sister said, "I don't know where he drank 2 cups of wine and is sleeping in the room." Meng Yulu said to Jinlian, "If I hadn't said it just now, Sister Li would have given the silver to the nun to print scriptures. The scriptures couldn't be printed, and the money was hidden in the master's house. Where could you find him? I told you to ask Zhang Bensi to go with him." Jinlian said, "Sister, you are so rich that you would be a fool not to make some money from him. It's like plucking a hair from an ox. If your child is dead, don't even think about giving up the scriptures. You can give up your vast territory. Now in this house, people are allowed to set fire, but not 2. I light the lamp. Listen, elder sister, it's not someone else. It's just that the dyed white doesn't color, but he is so frivolous and arrogant. Early in the morning, he asked the man to ask the doctor to see him. He messed around, and I didn't care. He often said in front of others, I was impatient. His father wanted to come into my room to take care of the child, and then sleep with me. Who can be impatient? So I urged him to go to someone else's room. I am fine with it, but he still talks about us behind my back." The elder sister only listened to his words. "It wasn't me who argued about this matter. Why didn't the man come into your room yesterday? And you asked the maid to call him in at the corner door. Push the child. You took medicine, and took the man straight Z's watching slept with Wu Yainer all night, and it immediately showed your cleverness, which made the man like you." And the elder sister had nothing to say. Yesterday evening, someone came into the house and kicked dog shit, beat the maid to chase the dog, and also got angry. So he asked the maid to come over and say that he scared his child. My mother, that old woman, didn't know what she was doing. The donkey twisted the stick and hurt the redbud tree. I was annoyed by his soft voice and asked me to scold him. He went home in a bad mood today. Go. Let me tell you, his family doesn't have many poor relatives like you. And it doesn't matter if you are not there. Yulu laughed and said, "You indisciplined descendant. You are a mother and son. And you are quarreling with him like this." Jinlian said, "That's not what I meant. An annoying person, a yellow cat with a black tail, only speaks for others. He eats half of others' bowls and is ordered around by others. He says it's good even if he doesn't get a sweet thing from others. Thinking of raising this child, you have seduced the man like a root, and you have made him a pride, making people want to return the mud. Today, the sky has eyes, and your child has also become sick." As he was talking, he saw Bensi returning the silver to the scripture shop and talking to Yu Niang. He saw Yulu, Jin Lian and the eldest sister were all sitting on the platform in the hall, so he just stood outside the ceremonial gate and didn't dare to come in. Lion came over and said, "Mother, hurry up, Bensi is here." Jinlian said, "It's strange that you asked him to come in. Didn't you just see him?" Lion said. Bensi lowered his head and saw Yu Niang and Li Pinger from behind, and said, 41 taels and 5 cents of silver. I will hand it over to Zai Jing or his family with the 2 masters. It's agreed to print and make 500 copies of the Dorai in silk cover, 5 cents each, and 1,000 copies of the Dorai in silk cover, 3 cents each. The total amount is 55 taels of silver, in addition to the 41 taels and 5 cents. I will give him 13 taels and 5 cents. He must bring the scriptures early on the 14th. Li Pinger hurriedly took out a silver incense ball from the room and asked Bensi to go to the sky to exchange it for 15 taels. Li Pinger said, "Take it, and keep the rest except for the change. Exchange it for some money, and give the scriptures to the temple on the 15th as travel expenses, so you don't have to ask me for it again." Ben Si then took out the incense ball. And Li Pinger said, "Fourth brother, I'm so tired of you." Ben Si bowed and said, "I dare not." When he walked to the front, Jinlian and Yulu stopped him and asked, "Have you paid the silver to the scripture shop?" Ben Si said, "It has been paid. A total of 1,500 scriptures, a total of 55 taels of silver. In addition to receiving 41 taels and 5 cents, Liu Niang just gave this silver incense ball." Yulu and Jinlian looked at it and said nothing. So Ben Si went home. Yulu said to Jinlian, "Sisterly, you have wasted your money like this. If he were your child, even a hammer would not kill him. If he were not your child, let alone giving away scriptures and building statues, you would not be able to keep him no matter what you do. Believe me, there is nothing you can't do with cocoons." After talking for a while, the two stood up. Jinlian said, "Let's go to the front door." Then she asked her eldest sister, "Are you going?" The eldest sister said, "I'm not going." Pan Jinlian took Yulu's hand, and the two of them stood at the front door. Then she asked Ping An, "Has the house opposite been cleaned up?" Ping An said, "What about us? Dad watched it being cleaned up yesterday. There are goods piled up upstairs in the back. Yesterday, the yin and yang came to break the ground. 3 wing rooms are to be built downstairs. Satin is placed in the earthen storehouse. The door is opened. There are 3 rooms in a row. The painters are asked to paint them with new paint. The business will open next month." Yulu asked again, "Has the family of the writer one moved in?" Ping An said, "They moved in yesterday. This morning, Dad asked to dismantle the summer bed in the back and give it to him. 2 tables and 4 chairs were also moved for him to sit on." Jinlian said, "Didn't you see what his wife looked like?" Ping An said, "A black shadow came in a sedan chair." "Who saw him coming?" As they were talking, an old man was seen in the distance, shaking his boudoir. Pan Jinlian said, "The mirror grinder is here." She told Ping An, "Call him over and ask him to grind my mirror for me. My mirror has become numb from using it so much these past 2 days. I tell you, prisoner, just watch over it and don't call him over again. I've only been out here for a short time. How come the mirror grinder is here?" Ping An stopped the mirror grinder and put down his shoulder pole. Jinlian asked Yulu, "If you want mirrors to be sharpened, ask the servant to bring them out and have them sharpened all at once." Then she sent Lion, "Go to my room and ask your sister Chan Mai for my large face mirror into small mirrors, and bring out the large square dressing mirror as well, and ask him to sharpen it." Yulu told Lion, "Go to my room and ask Lang Shang to bring out my mirror." Not long after, Lion came out with 8 mirrors of different sizes in his hands and a square dressing mirror in his arms. Jinlian said, "You little bastard. You can't take it. You've done it twice. How can you take it out like that?" "What happened to my mirror?" Yulu asked. "I haven't seen this big mirror of yours. Where did you get it from?" Jinlian said, "It was pawned by someone else. I love it and it's bright. I put it in my room and look at myself every morning and evening." Then she asked, "I only have 3 mirrors." Yulu said, "I only have 2, big and small." Jinlian said, "Whose 2 are they?" Lion said, "These 2 belong to Sister Chan Mai. I brought them out to polish them." Jinlian said, "You little bastard. He doesn't use his mirror. He just uses my mirror all day long. It makes you dizzy." There were 8 mirrors in total, big and small, and they were handed over to the old mirror polisher to teach him how to polish them. He tripped over the seat and used mercury. In the time it took to polish them, they were all polished to a dazzling shine. The woman took them in her hand and compared them to her beautiful face, which was like a pool of autumn water. There is a poem to prove it. Lotus calyx and water chestnut blossoms shine together. The wind blows, and the shadows are deep and green. A lotus appears in the pool of autumn water, like a goddess beside the moon. The woman looked at it and gave it to Lianer to keep. Yulu then asked Ping An to ask Fu, the shop assistant, for 50 coins from the counter to give to the mirror grinder. The old man took the money with one hand and just stood there without leaving. Yulu asked Ping An to ask the old man, "Why don't you go? Do you think the money is too little?" The old man burst into tears and cried. Ping An said, "My grandmother asked you what's bothering you." Lao Zi said, "To be honest, I'm 61 years old this year. I left a son behind. He's still unmarried at the age of 22, and he's been wandering around all day, not caring about his life. I'm forced to work every day to support him. He doesn't do his duty and often plays with the street vendors. Yesterday, he got into trouble and was tied to the garrison. He was beaten with 20 sticks as a bandit. When he came back, he pawned all my mother's skirts and jackets. My mother got angry and fell ill. She had a cold and slept on the king for half a month. The old man said to him, "I'm not going to do my job." After saying these 2 words, he walked out and didn't go home. So the old man looked for him every day, but couldn't find him. If I didn't look for him out of spite, I'm so old, but I only gave birth to him as a son. And there will be no one to take care of me in my old age. If I have him at home, I'll get angry if I see that he hasn't grown up. This is the karma of the old man. I have told people about this kind of injustice, so I shed tears and feel heartbroken. Yulu called Ping Ener, asked him, "How old is your second wife this year?" The old man said, "She is 55 years old this year, and she has no children. Now she has caught a cold." I felt better, but I was still not healthy. I wanted to eat some bacon. The old man asked around on the street for 2 or 3 days, but he couldn't get any. "It's really a pity for people," Yulu said. "It's not a big deal. I have a piece of bacon in the drawer in my room." She immediately called Anna and said, "Go and tell Langshang that there are 2 cakes and ask her to bring them to you." Jinlian called, "That old man, ask your mother if she wants to eat millet porridge." The old man said, "Why not? Where can I get it? It's good." Jinlian also called Anna over and said, "Tell Chen Mai to measure 2 liters of the new millet that your grandmother brought yesterday, and take out 2 pickled cucumbers, and give them to her mother." After a while, Lion took out half a leg of bacon, 2 cakes, 2 liters of millet, and 2 pickled cucumbers, and called out, "Come here, old man. You are lucky. Your mother is not sick and wants to eat, but she is afraid that it will harm the child during the confinement period, so she wants to have a calming soup." The old man hurriedly took it with both hands, put it in the carrying bowl, looked at Yulu and Jinlian, sang yi, and left with the carrying bowl, shaking Jing Gai. Ping'an said, "You 2 mothers shouldn't have given him so many things. He was tricked by this old man. His mother is a matchmaker. Didn't she walk down the street yesterday? Why didn't she come back home?" Jinlian said, "You thief. Why didn't you tell me what you were doing?" Ping'an said, "Forget it. It's his fate. But your 2 mothers came out and stopped him, and took care of his things. It's just like this. I leaned against the door lintel when I was free, and I saw an old man coming in. Not only can I help others with the smallest things, but even a drop of water is difficult to help without any fate."
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.